The purpose of this video is to demonstrate how the hydrogen spectrum of the hydrogen atom can be expanded to form the entire universe. You'll see these numbers that you'll recognize right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. Then I reversed it. Okay, this is just the hydrogen atom entangled in perfect harmonic series, because 1/2, 2/3, 3/4, 4/5 is a harmonic series. And it's entangled because we've mirrored it. Now we go up to the next level, which is 9, 18, 27, 36. And the reason we're using 9 is because there's 9 numbers in our first pattern. So we go up to 9, 18, 27, 36, which is just the 9 multiplication table. Okay, and then we go to 1089, and that's all explained in the paper previously why we go to 1089. It's still all multiples of 9. You see 1089 plus 1089 is 2178. 2178 plus 1089 is 3267. So this again is just a harmonic pattern, but you see it reversed. 1089 is the reverse of 9801. 2178 is 8712. 3267, 7623, 4356, 6534, and then the amazing 5445 right in the middle. 45 is the reverse of 54. Now that's also the same here. 09, 90, 18, 81, 36, 63. So completely reversed there as our first number. So we never lose the entanglement. The entanglement's always there. Now, all I've done is I've taken those numbers and I've put them into elements into the graph. So here it is. Here's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 18, 27, 36, 1089 out to 9801. The same numbers. Just put them all into the element list so they form the red lines. Then I use the photon energy from the hydrogen atom, which is 121, and I put it harmonically. 1.1 plus 1.1 is 2.2. See that? 2.2 plus 1.1 is 3.3. All the way up to 121, giving us 110 elements, which are the green lines that you see here. Okay? So the first thing that happens is the frequencies are sent into the center at a point less than 0. Okay? Now I've also taken and I've put them into the zeta function. Okay? The reason I use the zeta function is because this is a graphing calculator. These functions simply take our harmonic values here and multiply them thousands and thousands of times. Run them through these functions thousands of times to show us what will happen. So we don't have to do the math. Okay, but you don't have to use the zeta function, and you can still make this work. But I've done it because cosine and sin are basically harmonic functions. Okay, so the zeta function will not mess up our harmonic system. And this proves also that once you're in this harmonic entangled system, there's nothing you can do to destroy it. You can run it through the zeta function. You can run it through anything. And this entanglement and this harmonic is always going to remain. So we don't break the pattern. Okay? So now that's stage 2. Stage 3, boom, we see it exploding, the universe expanding, or the atom expanding. And if you back up away from the screen, you'll see the petals of the lotus flower. And this is basically the lotus flower that most major religions believe starts the universe. And we can see they're still, depending upon the frequencies of light here, interacting with the waves. Okay, at stage 4, very amazingly, we find what's called the Langmuir sheath. This is a magnetic field that we find in solar flares and the Earth's magnetic field, and all over in nature we find this magnetic pattern. It's called the Langmuir sheath. It's very interesting that would be formed. As we go on, we see that it expands even bigger, and it looks like chaos at this point. But if you look closely, you'll see it's not chaos at all. The lines are still lining up perfectly with the green and the red are still lining up perfectly, and we see the spin has now been added into our system. Okay? Now, if we take this all the way out and expand it to the largest we can, remember this is an animated graph, so let me show you. I'm just going to hit start. Okay? Now it's just starting, going through all the things that I showed you. And now it's going to continue to build the system. as we go, now, unfortunately, my computer's a bit slow, but we see it's building the system bigger and bigger, the system, and I'm trying to keep up with it. As it grows, I'm shrinking it. Okay, so as this arrives to 81, the end of the expansion, we're going to do something really neat, which is we're going to go into the center. As point particle, there should be a center mass that literally contains all the mass. All this is basically massless interactions of waves. But as we get towards the center, all of this stuff happening here, this continuum, is forcing incredible amounts of pressure and forces and energies into the center. So I'm going to start going into the center now. And it looks like we're in complete chaos, right? But as we go down trillions and trillions of times, and you can see over on the right here, let me get that done. Over on the right here, 0.05, and we're getting negative 0.5. Now we're going to go down trillions of times smaller to the start of the system. And we see it's starting to become organized. What these would be was basically galaxies coming out, or shells of the atom, electron rings, what we would consider, coming out. And we find very interesting, it's not quite finished, we have to let it build a little bit. So we find that it's not chaotic. There's a pattern here forming, a very clear pattern. And as we go smaller and smaller, it becomes more and more organized, until we get finally to this complete organization of what I call the logos. And we see it's got 9 arms and legs. It's got 9 teeth. It's got 9 more teeth, 9 more teeth. And we can go even smaller, as exactly what should happen with a point particle. And I've stopped the rays so that we can clearly see the point particle, or the hydrogen spectrum here, without the frequencies interfering. And we have to go smaller and smaller and smaller and deeper into the black hole, basically. And then we get this perfectly formed logos. Now, what's interesting is, look, we're at -2 times 10 to the -9, so trillions of times smaller. This would be the size of a quark, maybe a proton at the largest. And you can see how the frequencies are being split into 2, reflected back to the center. However, in the center, like the eye of the hurricane, there are no forces acting at all. It's a completely forceless center. But here, just like the holograph images that we make, we are taking the frequency, splitting it in 2, and mirroring it back to the center. That's what happened because of our mirrored entanglement. So a very interesting result of entanglement math.